The day humanity fell silent, and the Council knew true fear part. The massive Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Marcus Vega was escorted in by towering Draconid guards. Their scaled bodies reflected the blue-tinted lights that illuminated the vast circular space. Marcus walked steadily, his diplomatic uniform crisp and perfectly fitted, betraying none of the tension that surely gripped him. The chamber itself was an architectural marvel that defied human imagination. Thousands of alien representatives from across the galaxy watched from tiered seating that stretched impossibly high, the uppermost levels vanishing into a simulated starfield that mimicked the galaxy's core. Species of every conceivable form filled these seats, some gaseous, some crystalline, others with multiple limbs or eyes, and many utterly beyond human description. At the center of the chamber, on an elevated platform of polished black stone, sat the 7 Prime Counselors. Their position was both symbolic and practical, allowing every representative to see them clearly. Each counselor represented a founding species of the Galactic Council, a governing body that had maintained relative peace across 20,000 worlds for over 12 millennia. Elder Counselor Thaxamur, a being whose translucent blue skin revealed a complex network of luminescent veins, rose from his throne. His voice echoed throughout the chamber without any visible amplification. Ambassador Marcus Vega of Earth, Thaxamur intoned gravely. You stand before this council accused of a most serious transgression. Your species has violated Edict 37, which expressly forbids the development of quantum communication technology by non-founder worlds. Marcus appeared calm despite the gravity of the situation. His eyes, however, scanned the room strategically, noting which representatives seemed hostile and which merely curious. He stood straight, hands relaxed at his sides, showing neither defiance nor submission. Such technology, Thaxamur continued, is deemed too dangerous for developing species who have not yet demonstrated the necessary ethical maturity to wield it responsibly. How does humanity plead to this accusation? The chamber waited for Marcus's response. The question hung in the air, but Marcus remained completely silent. Seconds passed, then more. The silence grew uncomfortable as representatives began shifting in their seats, whispering to each other. After a full minute of silence, the whispers grew louder. Counselor Thaxamur's luminescent veins brightened with what appeared to be irritation. Ambassador Vega, Thaxamur's voice carried a note of warning. I asked how humanity pleads to these charges. You will answer the council. Still, Marcus remained silent, his expression neutral but watchful. The chamber's whispers became a low murmur of confusion and displeasure. One of the Draconid guards moved slightly closer to Marcus, a subtle threat. This is unprecedented, hissed Counselor Vexlor, a mantis-like being whose chitinous exoskeleton clicked with agitation. The human mocks us with this silence. Thaxamur raised a hand for calm, but his own patience was clearly wearing thin. Ambassador, I will ask one final time. How does humanity plead to the charges of violating Edict 37? Finally, Marcus moved. He raised his eyes to meet Thaxamur's gaze directly. A breach of protocol that caused several gasps among the more traditional representatives. Before I answer, Marcus said, his voice clear and steady, I must know how many of you received our message? The chamber erupted in chaos as several counselors shot to their feet, faces displaying shock and fear. Vexlor's mandibles clacked rapidly in what appeared to be alarm, while Thaxamur's luminescent veins pulsed erratically. I see, Marcus said, the hint of a smile touching his lips. So our broadcast was successful. Admiral Eliana Rhodes stood at the viewport of Earth's Orbital Defense Station Alpha, watching as the diplomatic vessel carrying Marcus Vega disappeared into the darkness of space 3 weeks earlier. Her reflection in the reinforced glass showed a woman in her mid-50s, her dark hair streaked with gray and pulled back into a severe bun. Her uniform bore the insignia of Earth's Unified Defense Force, an organization that had only existed for 5 years, since humanity's first contact with the Galactic Council. Do you think he'll succeed? Asked a voice behind her. Rhodes turned to see Dr. Kento Nakamura, a slight man whose rumpled appearance belied his status as perhaps the most brilliant physicist on Earth. It was his breakthrough that had brought them to this precarious position. Success isn't the goal, Rhodes replied. Buying time is. She gestured for Nakamura to follow her, and they made their way through the station's corridors to a secure conference room. Inside, holographic displays showed Earth's defensive capabilities, diplomatic channels, and most importantly, the status of Project Whisper. "We intercepted another communication," Rhodes said once the room was secure. "The Council has been monitoring us more closely than they admitted. They've had observation posts in the outer solar system for at least a decade." Nakamura nodded, unsurprised. "They fear us. They've always feared us." "Fear leads to preemptive action," Rhodes replied. "Our intelligence suggests they're debating whether to isolate Earth completely or move directly to containment protocols." "Containment," Nakamura repeated with a bitter smile. "A polite term for subjugation." Rhodes activated a holographic display showing a timeline of human technological development since first contact. "We've advanced too quickly for their comfort. Most species take centuries to develop technologies that we've mastered in years. Your quantum communication breakthrough was the final straw." "They don't understand how we did it," Nakamura said. "They believe advanced quantum communication requires specific rare materials found only in Council space. Materials they've carefully controlled. Yet you found another way." Nakamura smiled. "Not another way. A better way." Rhodes studied the scientist. "How much longer until Project Whisper is operational?" "The network is already running on a limited scale. Full implementation will take another 2 weeks, assuming we maintain secrecy." Rhodes nodded and switched the holographic display to show Earth's military readiness. Forces were quietly mobilizing worldwide, but with careful attention to satellite observation. As far as the Council knew, Earth was continuing normal operations while awaiting the diplomatic mission's return. "We're walking a dangerous line," Rhodes said. "If we appear too passive, they'll see us as easy targets. If we show too much military preparation, they'll have their excuse for preemptive action." "And Marcus?" asked Nakamura. "Marcus knows exactly what to do," Rhodes replied. "He'll give us the time we need." In the depths of the Pacific Ocean, inside a facility carved into the seabed beneath 2 miles of water, a team of scientists and engineers worked feverishly on the heart of Project Whisper. The facility had been constructed in absolute secrecy, using technology that masked its energy signature from orbital observation. Director Lucia Ortega supervised the installation of the latest quantum node, a device no larger than a coffee cup but more powerful than all classical supercomputers combined. "Status?" she asked her chief engineer. "Node 37 is online and synchronizing," he replied, watching as diagnostics scrolled across his screen. "The network is holding at 86% efficiency. Better than projected." Ortega allowed herself a small smile. "Any detection attempts?" "None that have penetrated our countermeasures. As far as the Council's technology can tell, we're just running standard power distribution systems." She nodded and moved to a central control station, where a 3-dimensional representation of Earth floated, covered in a delicate webwork of glowing lines, the quantum network that would soon encompass the entire planet. Already key military installations, government facilities, and research centers were connected. Soon the network would extend to every corner of human civilization. "Begin Phase 3, she ordered, "and monitor all channels for the signal from Ambassador Vega. When it comes, we'll need to act quickly." In the vast emptiness of space beyond Neptune's orbit, a Council monitoring station maintained its silent vigil over Earth. The station, designed to appear as nothing more than a small asteroid, contained advanced surveillance equipment that had been watching humanity's development for years. Inside, Observer Captain Malix reviewed the latest data with growing concern. The humans were behaving oddly. Their communications remained normal. Their military operations showed no unusual activity, yet something felt wrong to his experienced instincts. "Run another deep scan," he ordered his technician. "Focus on quantum fluctuations." "Sir," the technician replied, "we've run 3 such scans in the past cycle. Nothing unusual has been detected." Malix's 6 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of agitation in his species. There must be something we're missing. Humans don't simply accept accusations of this magnitude without response. His communication panel chimed, indicating a priority message from Council headquarters. Malix activated it and a holographic image of his superior appeared. "Observer Captain, the human ambassador has arrived for his hearing. Maintain highest vigilance. If the humans attempt any technological demonstration during the proceedings, we must be prepared to document it fully." "Understood," Malix replied. "Has the ambassador offered any defense?" The superior's face showed an expression equivalent to a human frown. None yet, but the council is proceeding with caution. These humans are unpredictable. As the communication The day humanity fell silent, and the council knew True Fear Part 2. The Galactic Council Chamber transformed from an orderly forum into a battleground of accusations and fear within moments of Marcus Vega's unexpected question. Councillor Vexlor, his mantis-like form rising to full height, pointed a sharp appendage directly at the human ambassador. This is an admission of guilt. Vexlor's voice reverberated through the chamber, translated simultaneously into thousands of languages for the assembled representatives. The human admits they have deployed forbidden quantum communication technology. Elder Councillor Thaxamer raised his translucent hands, attempting to restore order as the chamber erupted in a cacophony of alien voices. Some representatives rose from their seats, while others engaged in heated debates with their neighbors. The diplomatic corps stationed along the walls moved closer to their respective delegations, preparing for possible escalation. Silence. Thaxamer's amplified voice finally cut through the chaos. The chamber gradually quieted, though tension remained palpable in the air. Ambassador Vega, explain yourself immediately. What message do you claim to have sent, and by what means? Marcus stood calmly in the center of the chamber, seemingly unfazed by the hostility directed toward him from all sides. He straightened his already perfect posture and addressed the council directly. 3 days ago, Earth sent a simple message, I do wo, a mathematical sequence encoded in quantum states. We directed it only to those with the technology to receive it. Marcus paused, his eyes scanning the faces of the 7 prime counselors. I see from your reactions that our message was indeed received. What puzzles me is why you chose not to acknowledge it. A different counselor rose. Zila, representative of the Aelorians, a species known for their rational approach and mathematical prowess. Her silver-skinned form shimmered under the chamber's lights as she spoke. Ambassador, what you suggest is impossible. Quantum communication technology requires specialized materials found only in systems under council protection. Your world has never been granted access to these materials. Marcus nodded. That is the official position of the council, yes. But it seems your understanding of quantum mechanics may be incomplete. The implied criticism caused another wave of murmurs throughout the chamber. To suggest the council's scientific knowledge was lacking was considered either profound ignorance or extreme arrogance. Before we continue this discussion, Marcus said, his voice cutting through the renewed whispers, I believe we should address another matter. Specifically, the network of monitoring stations your council has placed throughout our solar system without our knowledge or consent. This statement caused immediate silence, followed by uncomfortable shifting among several representatives. Elder Thaxamer's luminescent veins pulsed rapidly, a sign of agitation in his species. We maintain observation posts throughout the galaxy, Thaxamer responded carefully. This is standard procedure for all developing worlds. Observation posts that you failed to disclose during our first contact negotiations, Marcus countered. Posts that have been actively monitoring not just our communications but our defense systems, our research facilities, and even our civilian infrastructure. On Earth, in the underwater facility housing Project Whisper's central node, Dr. Kento Nakamura monitored the quantum feed coming directly from the council chambers. The connection, invisible to conventional detection systems, allowed Earth's leadership to witness the proceedings in real time. He's doing well, Admiral Rhodes observed, watching over Nakamura's shoulder. Putting them on the defensive was the right move. Nakamura nodded, his fingers flying over the controls as he made minute adjustments to the quantum signal. The signal is stable, but I'm detecting attempts to trace it. Their technology is impressive. Can they succeed? Rhodes asked. Nakamura allowed himself a small smile. Not with the methods they're using. They're looking for conventional quantum entanglement patterns. Our system doesn't work that way. Director Lucia Ortega joined them, her face showing signs of fatigue after 36 hours without sleep. Phase 3 is proceeding ahead of schedule. We've integrated 62% of the global network, focusing on critical infrastructure and defense systems. Rhodes nodded. Accelerate the timetable. I don't think we'll have as much time as we hoped. Back in the council chambers, Marcus had moved to a small console provided for presenting evidence. With the council's reluctant permission, he activated it, projecting a holographic map of Earth's solar system. These, he said, highlighting several points beyond Neptune's orbit, are your monitoring stations. We've known about them for over a year. Counselor Vexlor chittered angrily. If you've known of their presence, why did you not protest through diplomatic channels? Because, Marcus replied calmly, we wanted to understand your intentions first, and what we discovered was troubling. With another command, the hologram changed to display intercepted communications between the monitoring stations and Council headquarters. The text scrolled in the standard galactic common language, accessible to all present. These communications, Marcus continued, discuss containment protocols, isolation strategies, and even military options for dealing with Earth, all while your diplomats assured us of the Council's peaceful intentions and commitment to Earth's integration into the galactic community. The chamber fell silent as representatives digested this information. Even Vexilor seemed momentarily at a loss for words. Counselor Zila broke the silence. Ambassador, how did you obtain these communications? They would have been encrypted using the Council's highest security protocols. Marcus met her gaze steadily. The same way we send our quantum message. The same technology you claim we couldn't possibly possess. Before Zila could respond, a soft chime sounded throughout the chamber, ow. A signal that another matter required immediate attention. Elder Thaxmer consulted a private display, his expression shifting from annoyance to concern. We will take a brief recess, he announced abruptly. Ambassador Vega will remain under guard. Representatives, please remain in the chamber. As the counselors withdrew to a private chamber adjacent to the main hall, Marcus was escorted to a small waiting area, flanked by the Draconid guards. But his expression remained composed, even satisfied. The first phase of Earth's plan was proceeding exactly as intended. In the counselor's private chamber, alarm was the predominant emotion. Thaxmer activated a secure display showing reports from multiple monitoring stations throughout Council space. We've confirmed the human's claim, he informed his colleagues. 3 days ago, a quantum signal originating from Earth was detected by 17 of our highest security facilities. The signal contained nothing but a simple mathematical sequence of the prime numbers from 1 to 100. A demonstration, Zila observed. Not a communication attempt. An impossibility, countered Vexlor. Their technology is decades, perhaps centuries away from such capabilities. Evidently not, replied Thaxmer. More concerning is how they intercepted our secure communications. Our encryption should be impenetrable to their technology. Unless, Zila said thoughtfully, their approach to quantum mechanics differs fundamentally from ours. We've always assumed that quantum communication requires specific exotic materials. What if the humans found another method? That is precisely what concerns me, Thaxmer admitted. If they've developed an entirely novel approach to quantum physics, one we haven't anticipated, the security implications are troubling. On Earth, the leadership of the major nations had gathered in a secure facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Present in person or via secure holographic projection, they represented nearly the entirety of human governance HFY War, a unity that would have been unthinkable a decade earlier. Before first contact, President Alejandro Reyes of the United American Alliance addressed the Assembly. Admiral Rhodes has informed me that Ambassador Vega has successfully implemented the first phase of our strategy. The Council is now aware that we know about their monitoring and their discussions of containment. How have they responded? Asked Premier Lin of the East Asian Confederation. As expected, Rhodes replied from her position at the communications hub. Confusion, denial, and now concern. They're attempting to understand how we've achieved what they believed impossible. And Project Whisper? Asked Chancellor Weber of the European Union. Director Ortega's hologram flickered slightly as she reported from the underwater facility. We've accelerated implementation. Current coverage is at 68% and rising. We should achieve full global integration within 18 hours. Sooner than that, Nakamura interjected. I've refined the quantum algorithms. 12 hours is now a realistic estimate. The assembled leaders exchanged glances, the gravity of their situation reflected in their expressions. They were gambling humanity's future on technology that even they didn't fully understand, against an adversary with thousands of years of interstellar experience. What about our defensive preparations? asked General Mbeki of the African Alliance. Rhodes activated a global tactical display. Our forces remain at heightened alert but are maintaining normal patrol patterns to avoid triggering Council concerns. Space Command has positioned our fleet to respond to incursions, but we're keeping them dispersed to avoid appearing threat. The day humanity fell silent and the Council knew true fear part. 3. The Galactic Council chamber remained in disarray for several minutes after Marcus Vega's demonstration. Security personnel swarmed around the human ambassador, scanning him with various devices while keeping a respectful distance. The 7 Prime Counselors huddled together on their elevated platform, engaged in urgent discussion, their personal security fields now visibly active among shimmering barriers that isolated them from potential threats. Throughout the tiered seating of the massive chamber, representatives from thousands of worlds checked their devices, whispered to aides, and cast wary glances toward the human who had just demonstrated technology that should have been impossible. Some representatives had already left their seats, retreating to contact their homeworlds. Finally, Elder Counselor Thaxmer stepped forward, his luminescent veins pulsing in a pattern that those familiar with his species recognized as extreme agitation. Ambassador Vega, he began, his voice carefully controlled. Your demonstration was impressive. However, it changes nothing about the charges against Earth. In fact, it merely confirms your violation of Edict 37. Marcus remained calm, his hands now clasped behind his back. The purpose of Edict 37, as I understand it, is to prevent developing species from acquiring technologies they might use irresponsibly. Would you agree that's the intent? Thaxmer inclined his head slightly. That is correct. Then perhaps, Marcus suggested, the Council should consider the possibility that humanity's understanding of quantum mechanics has developed along a different path than your own. We didn't violate your edict by acquiring restricted materials or stealing Council technology. We simply discovered our own approach. Before Thaxmer could respond, Counselor Vexlor stepped forward, his chitinous exoskeleton clicking with each movement. This is irrelevant. The human has demonstrated hostile intent by disabling Council systems. This is an act of aggression that cannot go unanswered. Several representatives vocalized agreement, creating another wave of noise throughout the chamber. But when Counselor Zila rose to speak, a hush fell over the assembly. The Aelorians were known for their measured approach and rarely spoke without careful consideration. I would point out, Zila said, her silvery voice carrying clearly, that Ambassador Vega's demonstration caused no damage to our systems. All functions have been restored. This appears to have been a controlled demonstration rather than an attack. She turned her metallic gaze toward Marcus. However, Ambassador, the message sent to the Council's private neural interfaces is concerning. This is only the beginning, could be interpreted as a threat. Marcus nodded acknowledgement. Or as a simple statement of fact. Humanity is still in the early stages of understanding our new quantum technologies. What we demonstrated today is indeed only the beginning of what we may eventually achieve. Across the vast distances of space, on Earth all communication suddenly went silent. At exactly 15-hour UTC, every broadcast signal, every satellite transmission, every fiber optic pulse, and every radio wave carrying human communication simply stopped. Cell phones displayed no signal. Internet connections failed. Television broadcasts went dark, and radio channels broadcast only static. In the underwater facility housing Project Whisper's central node, Admiral Eliana Rhodes watched as status monitors confirmed the global communication blackout. Blackout protocol successfully implemented, reported Director Lucia Ortega. All conventional communication systems are offline. Quantum network is operating at 93% capacity and completely invisible to standard detection methods. Dr. Kento Nakamura looked up from his workstation, his expression a mixture of pride and concern. The transition was cleaner than we anticipated. No cascading failures in power grids or critical systems, Rhodes nodded. And the Council's monitoring stations? They'll detect the silence immediately, Ortega replied. To their conventional sensors, it will appear as though Earth has gone completely dark. Good, Rhodes said. How long until full implementation? 3 hours, Nakamura answered. We're prioritizing military and government infrastructure first, followed by civilian emergency services, then general population. Rhodes moved to a secure terminal and initiated a quantum communication to Ambassador Vega. The message was brief. Phase 3 initiated. Maintain position. In the coldness of space beyond Neptune's orbit, observer Captain Malik stared at his monitoring screens in disbelief. Every signal from Earth errors, from military communications to civilian broadcasts to navigation beacons, had simultaneously vanished. Run diagnostics, he ordered his technicians. Confirm our systems are functioning properly. Systems check complete, Captain, responded his second-in-command. All monitoring equipment is operating within parameters. The human signals have simply stopped. Malik's 6 eyes blinked in sequence as he processed this information. Could it be a planetary defense measure? A communications blackout in preparation for conflict? Possible, but unlikely, the technician replied. We're detecting no unusual movement of their military assets. Their orbital platforms remain in standard positions. It's as if they've collectively decided to stop communicating. No species does that without reason, Malik muttered. He activated his direct link to Council headquarters. Priority report: Earth has gone silent. All communications ceased simultaneously at standard time 15 NAR. Request instructions. The response was immediate. Maintain observation. Do not approach Earth or attempt to establish contact. Additional scout ships are being dispatched to reinforce your position. Council security level has been elevated to Crimson. Malik felt his respiratory sacs contract involuntarily. Crimson's security level was reserved for imminent threats to galactic stability. In his 3 centuries of service, it had only been implemented twice. Back in the council chamber, Marcus noticed a subtle change in the atmosphere. Security personnel were moving with greater urgency, and several counselors had received communications that clearly disturbed them. He knew what they had learned. Earth had gone silent. Elder Thaxmer approached Marcus, dispensing with the formal protocols that typically governed council proceedings. Ambassador, we've just received reports that all communications from Earth have ceased. What is the meaning of this? Marcus met the elder's gaze steadily. Perhaps you should tell me, Counselor. Your monitoring stations have been watching Earth closely. What do they tell you? They tell us that your world has gone dark, Thaxmer replied, an edge of frustration in his voice. All broadcast signals, all satellite communications, all planetary transmissions have stopped simultaneously. Is this some kind of demonstration or preparation for conflict? Marcus allowed himself a small smile. It is a transition, Elder Thaxmer. Nothing more, nothing less. Before the conversation could continue, a commotion at the chamber's main entrance drew everyone's attention. A delegation of Vraxian representatives had arrived, armed tall, gray-skinned beings with forearms and elongated skulls. The Vraxians were not council members but held significant power as one of the galaxy's oldest trading empires. Their leader, Trade Sovereign Draz, approached the council platform without waiting for formal recognition to Iori Kauber, a breach of protocol that highlighted the unusual nature of their arrival. Honorable Council? Draz's voice resonated with harmonic undertones characteristic of Vraxian speech. We have received disturbing reports of a technological demonstration by the humans. Our intelligence suggests this may represent a significant shift in the balance of power within this sector. Councillor Vexlor chittered in annoyance. This is a closed council session, Trade Sovereign. Your presence is not requested or required. Perhaps, Draz replied smoothly. But our treaty with the Council includes provisions for consultation regarding emerging threats. We believe this situation qualifies. As the Council dealt with this new complication, Marcus received a quantum communication directly to a small implant behind his ear, A.E. Kyamu, undetectable by Council security scans. The message from Admiral Rhodes was clear. Phase 3 was proceeding as planned. He needed to keep the Council occupied for 3 more hours. On Earth, the silence had created initial confusion, but pre-positioned emergency response teams quickly implemented contingency plans. In major cities, official vehicles with loudspeakers moved through the streets, informing citizens that a temporary communications disruption was underway as part of a planned infrastructure upgrade. Most accepted this explanation with remarkable calm, or a testament to the psychological preparation that had been subtly implemented over the preceding months. Special broadcasts, news articles, and social media discussions had gradually introduced the concept of potential communication disruptions. framing them as necessary steps toward improved infrastructure. In truth, humanity was undergoing the most significant technological transformation in its history. As conventional communication systems remained dark, the quantum network expanded, connecting person to person, system to system, in ways that were completely invisible to outside observation. In the underwater facility, Dr. Nakamura monitored the network's growth with intense focus. Neural interface integration at 68% and accelerating. Civilian adoption exceeding projections. Any rejection issues? Asked Director Ortega, referring to the SME. The day humanity fell silent, and the Council knew true fear part. The Galactic Council's emergency session had extended into its 6th hour. The Grand Chamber, designed to inspire awe and reflect the Council's ancient authority, now felt like a trap to many of the representatives present. Security personnel had tripled, and no one was permitted to leave Oreituru, a lockdown protocol rarely implemented in the Council's 12,000-year history. At the center of this unprecedented situation stood Ambassador Marcus Vega, still calm and composed despite being the focus of thousands of alien eyes. The demonstration with the floating device had transformed the mood from diplomatic tension to something approaching genuine fear. Elder Counselor Thaxes Murr convened a private meeting of the 7 Prime Counselors in a shielded chamber adjacent to the main hall. The room was swept for surveillance devices, and multiple layers of security fields ensured absolute privacy. The situation has escalated beyond a simple technological violation, Thaxmore began once they were secure. The human ambassador has effectively demonstrated capabilities that challenge our understanding of physical law. Counselor Zila, her silver skin now dulled with concern, nodded in agreement. The device's movement defied standard gravitational constraints. Analysis suggests it wasn't simple telekinesis or conventional anti-gravity technology. It appears, she continued, that the humans have developed some method of manipulating quantum fields to affect macro-scale objects. This is concerning. Vexlor's mandibles clicked rapidly up, a sign of extreme agitation in his species. Concerning? It's existential. If humans can affect physical reality through quantum manipulation, our entire security paradigm is obsolete. Let's not overreact, counseled Morda, the reptilian representative of the Saurians. One small demonstration doesn't indicate mastery of these principles. It could be a clever trick, designed to make us believe they're more advanced than they actually are. And the planetary communications blackout? Asked Thaxmer. Our scout ships report all conventional signals from Earth ceased simultaneously, yet they observe continued normal activity on the surface. I recommend immediate containment protocols, Vexilor insisted. Deploy the 7th Fleet to Earth's system. Establish a quarantine perimeter. We cannot risk these capabilities spreading. While the counselors debated, Marcus stood in the main chamber, seemingly at ease despite being under the watchful eyes of multiple security officers. In reality, he was receiving regular quantum communications through his neural implant, completely undetectable to Council technology. The latest update from Admiral Rhodes confirmed that Project Whisper's implementation was proceeding faster than anticipated. 92% of Earth's population was now connected to the quantum network. The remaining 8% were either in remote regions or represented special cases requiring modified interfaces. On Earth, the transition was nearly complete. In homes, offices, vehicles, and public spaces, people were discovering they could communicate without conventional devices. The neural interfaces, subtly integrated over the past months through public health initiatives described as cognitive enhancement supplements, were now fully active. Most remarkable was how quickly humans adapted to this new reality. Within hours, people were learning to control the quantum interface with their thoughts, connecting directly to friends, family, and information systems. What initially seemed like telepathy soon revealed itself to be something far more profound, a collective consciousness that maintained individual identity while enabling unprecedented collaboration. In London's financial district, traders discovered they could process market information at speeds that made traditional computers seem glacial. In emergency rooms across Tokyo, surgeons found they could access medical databases instantly, the information appearing in their mind as if they'd always known it. At NASA's command center, Engineers communicated with satellites through pure thought, receiving data directly into their consciousness. This wasn't just a new communication system, it was humanity transcending its biological limitations. In the underwater facility housing Project Whisper's central node, Dr. Kento Nakamura monitored the network's final expansion phase. His own enhanced consciousness allowed him to perceive the quantum connections spreading across the globe as a beautiful, intricate web of light. "It's magnificent," he whispered, though no one in the room needed to hear his words to understand his thoughts. Director Lucia Ortega nodded. Her consciousness partially merged with his through the network. "The collective processing power is beyond our initial projections. We're seeing emergent capabilities we hadn't anticipated." Admiral Rhodes, physically present but mentally connected to military commands worldwide, reviewed the defensive posture. Council vessels are maintaining their observation positions. No signs of aggressive movement yet, but their communications suggest they're debating intervention options. "We're ready if they try," Ortega assured her. "The quantum shield is operational. Conventional weapons would be ineffective against it." "And unconventional weapons?" Rhodes asked. Nakamura's expression grew serious. "Unknown. The Council possesses technologies we've only begun to understand, but our simulations suggest the shield would adapt to most known attack vectors. In the cold emptiness of space, the Council scout ships continued their observation of Earth. Commander Raltek reviewed the latest sensor data with growing concern. "There's something happening with their energy grid," he reported to headquarters. "Power distribution patterns are changing across the planet. We're detecting unusual fluctuations in their electromagnetic field." "Elaborate," came the response. "It's as if—" Raltek paused, searching for the right words. "As if the planet itself is becoming more energetically coherent. Individual power systems that previously operated independently are now functioning in perfect synchronization. Deploy probe satellites," ordered headquarters. "We need closer observation." Raltek complied, launching a series of stealth probes designed to penetrate Earth's detection systems. The small, virtually invisible devices accelerated toward the blue planet, their advanced sensors ready to gather detailed information. None of them made it past the lunar orbit. At precisely that distance from Earth, each probe simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed, not damaged, they simply vanished from all detection systems. One moment they were transmitting data, the next they were gone. Raltek stared at his screens in disbelief. "Headquarters, all probes have been neutralized. No debris, no energy discharge, no warning. They're just gone." There was a long pause before headquarters responded. "Withdraw to safe distance. Maintain observation only. Do not deploy additional assets without direct authorization from the Council." Back in the Council chambers, the 7 Prime Councilors had reached a decision. They returned to the main hall, taking their positions on the elevated platform. Elder Thaxmer addressed Marcus directly. "Ambassador Vega, the Council has determined that the situation requires direct verification. We are dispatching a diplomatic vessel to Earth to assess the current conditions and establish communication. We request your cooperation in facilitating this mission." Marcus smiled slightly. "The Council is welcome to send representatives to Earth. However, I should warn you that conventional communication methods will not function. Your diplomats will need to be prepared for alternative means of interaction." "Explain," demanded Vexlor. "Earth has transitioned to a quantum-based communication system," Marcus replied. "Your representatives will need neural interface technology compatible with our network to communicate effectively." "You expect us to allow neural interfaces to be implanted in Council representatives?" Vexlor's tone was incredulous. "Such technology could be used to influence or control their minds." "Not at all," Marcus said smoothly. "We would provide external interface devices for your representatives, completely secure, with no permanent connection to their neural systems." Before Vexlor could object further, Councilor Zilla intervened. "This seems a reasonable accommodation. However, the diplomatic vessel will include security personnel and technical experts who can verify the nature and extent of Earth's transformation." Marcus nodded. "Of course. We have nothing to hide." The diplomatic mission was quickly assembled, a mix of Council representatives, security specialists, and scientific experts. Their vessel, a sleek craft designed for rapid interstellar travel, departed immediately for Earth, At maximum velocity, they would arrive within 6 hours. As preparations for the diplomatic mission proceeded, Trade Sovereign Draz of the Vraxian Empire approached Marcus privately, using a security field to prevent eavesdropping. Ambassador, Draz's harmonics indicated careful neutrality. The Vraxian Empire has always valued innovation and progress. We believe there may be mutual benefits in a direct exchange between our civilizations. Outside council oversight. Marcus studied the tall, gray-skinned being carefully. The Vraxians have a reputation for pragmatism, Trade Sovereign. What sort of exchange are you proposing? Information, Draz replied. Your quantum communication technology clearly operates on principles unknown to council science. Such knowledge would be valuable to us. In exchange, we could offer access to technologies the council has denied Earth. An interesting proposal, Marcus said non-commit. Humanity withdraws from peace talks. The Galactic Council realizes its mistake. Part 1. The breaking point, the grand chamber of the Galactic Council, towered like a cathedral of stars, its crystalline dome reflecting the light of 7 suns. Ambassador Ilara Voss stood alone on the central platform, a solitary human figure surrounded by 2,000 alien representatives. Their murmurs filled the chamber like the buzz of angry insects. High Counselor Draz, a towering blue-skinned Arcturian, raised his ceremonial staff. Silence fell. The council has deliberated for 14 cycles, Draz announced, voice amplified through the chamber. We have reached consensus on humanity's petition for equal representation. Ilara's face remained impassive, though her pulse quickened. 6 years of negotiations had led to this moment. Humanity has demonstrated remarkable progress for such a young species, Draz continued. However, your technological advancement has been concerning. Your species' rapid militarization appears designed to circumvent council oversight. Those were defensive measures only, Ilara countered. We've provided full documentation. Documentation your translation matrices could easily have falsified, interrupted Vex Morden, the Centauri delegate. His facial tentacles twisted in apparent disgust. The council requires proof, not promises. We've complied with every request, Ilara said, her voice steady. For 6 years we've opened our borders, shared our resources, submitted to inspections. What more could? The council requires genetic submissions, announced Draz. All human colonies will provide DNA repositories for council safekeeping and study. A shocked murmur rippled through the chamber. That wasn't part of our agreement, Ilara said. Earth's sovereignty is non-negotiable. This is not a negotiation, Ambassador, said Morden, leaning forward. It is a requirement. Then we have nothing more to discuss. Ilara activated her wrist communicator. Admiral Reyes, initiate protocol exodus. Immediate effect. The alien delegates shifted uneasily. Draz's expression darkened. Ambassador Voss, reconsider your position. The consequences are yours to bear, High Counselor. Ilara's voice was steel. For centuries, your council has manipulated emerging civilizations. You've harvested resources from developing worlds while offering trinkets in return. You believed humans would be grateful for scraps from your table. Suddenly, the chamber's lights flickered. The holographic display showing Earth's fleet positions went dark. What is happening? Demanded Draz. Humanity is withdrawing from these talks, Ilara said, stepping backward. And not just from this chamber, from council space entirely. Outside, through the crystal dome, dozens of human vessels simultaneously engaged their drives, creating a blinding flash that momentarily illuminated the chamber. When the light faded, the ships were gone. You cannot simply leave, sputtered Morden. The treaties made under false pretenses are void, Ilara replied. A shimmer began to form around her. You never intended to treat us as equals. We've known that for some time. We just needed you to confirm it. As she began to dematerialize, Ilara delivered her final message. You'll find that human territory is now closed to all council vessels. Don't test our resolve on this matter. With a flash of light, she vanished, leaving behind a chamber of stunned silence and the first inkling of fear. 3 hours later, in the council's emergency session chamber, the atmosphere was heavy with tension. Representatives from the 12 most powerful species sat around a gleaming obsidian table, their voices raised in argument. Impossible, shouted Morden, pounding the table with a tentacled fist. No species possesses technology capable of instantaneous mass transportation across such distances. Yet they have done it, said Krell, the reptilian head of Council Intelligence. Initial reports confirm that all human outposts, colonies, and trade stations have gone dark simultaneously. Their ships have vanished from our tracking systems. High Counselor Draz stood at the head of the table, his usual commanding presence diminished by uncertainty. What of Earth itself? Krell's scaled skin rippled in what passed for a grimace. We sent probes immediately. They encountered an energy barrier of unknown composition surrounding the entire Sol system. We lost contact when they attempted to penetrate it. Silence fell over the assembly as the implications sank in. They've been hiding their true capabilities, Draz finally said, playing us for fools. In the corner of the room, Thala, the ancient Moran observer, spoke for the first time. Her translucent body glowed faintly in the dimmed light. Perhaps it is we who have been foolish, High Counselor. Humanity warned us repeatedly that they valued their autonomy above all else. They're barely 2 centuries into spaceflight, protested Morden. A primitive species by any measure. Thala's glow pulsed with what might have been amusement. And yet they have vanished from under our noses, taking with them technologies we apparently never detected. On the main view screen, a map of Council space displayed in 3 dimensions. Red dots representing human settlements were blinking out one by one as confirmation of their disappearance came in. The economic impact will be severe, warned Lorik, the Council's economic minister. Human trade routes have become integral to our supply chains. Several outer systems rely entirely on human agricultural exports. Draz's expression darkened further. They planned this. Deliberately made themselves essential while hiding their true agenda. Aboard the human flagship Defiant, Admiral Talia Reyes watched Earth's solar system appear on the view screen as the ship emerged from its jump. The blue-green jewel of Earth sat at the center, now surrounded by a shimmering barrier that distorted the light of the sun. Exodus protocol completed, Admiral, reported her tactical officer. All colonial outposts have successfully relocated. The barrier is holding steady at 99.7% efficiency. Talia nodded, her dark eyes reflecting the stars. And the Council's response? Exactly as predicted. They've dispatched probes and are now scrambling a monitoring fleet. Their communications channels are in chaos, and our people, all accounted for. The transition was smoother than our simulations projected. Talia allowed herself a small smile. 6 years of preparation. It's hard to believe we actually pulled it off. Her communications officer turned from her console. Admiral, I have President Alvarez for you. The view screen shifted to show the President of the United Earth Federation, his dark hair streaked with silver, his expression serious but satisfied. Congratulations. Admiral Reyes, Phase 1 is complete. Talia inclined her head. Thank you, Mr. President, though I suspect the hard part is just beginning. Indeed. The Council will not take this lying down. Once they recover from the shock, they'll try to force their way in. Let them try, Talia said with quiet confidence. The barrier will hold. And if it doesn't? Talia's expression hardened. Then they'll discover what else we've been hiding. Back in the Council chambers, Draz issued orders to a team of analysts. I want everything we have on human technology. Every scrap of data, every trade manifest, every intelligence report. There must have been signs we missed. A junior analyst, a spindly Vornan with multiple eyes, approached nervously. High Counselor, we found something in the archive. Records of human trade negotiations from their first contact 50 years ago. And they specifically requested information about a region of space beyond the Cygnus Arm. A region we have designated as restricted. Draz froze. Show me. The display changed to show a star map with a section highlighted in pulsing red. Impossible, whispered Draz. They couldn't have known about that. There's more, continued the analyst. We've detected unusual energy signatures at the edge of the barrier surrounding Earth. They match theoretical patterns for what? For the ancient defense grid, sir. The one mentioned only in our most classified records. Around the table, the Council members exchanged worried glances. If humans had somehow discovered the existence of the defense grid, technology lost for millennia, the implications were staggering. Draz turned to face the assembled Council, his voice low and serious. Send word to all member worlds. As of this moment, humanity is designated a Level 1 security risk. All information regarding Earth is now classified at the highest level. Thala, the Moran observer, drifted closer. You fear them now, don't you? These primitives you dismissed so easily. Draz didn't answer, but his silence was confirmation enough. The question you should be asking, Thala continued, is not how they did this, but why. What could drive them to such a dramatic action after years of apparent cooperation? In the silence that followed, the council members faced an uncomfortable possibility. That in their arrogance, they had completely misunderstood humanity, and in doing so, may have created their most dangerous adversary. Outside the chamber windows, the stars continued to shine, indifferent to the political drama unfolding beneath them. But somewhere among those stars, humanity watched and waited, their true intentions still unknown.